Alright, so we're starting to get into pistons, I guess. Let's see, what are some other neat things? So let me show you a cool design for an AND gate that you can do with pistons. So you have, here's A, here's B. I'm going to put a piston right over here, and a thing right here. Okay, and this will be really easy to understand, I think. And then I need, I'll get a lamp. Let's see, what do I want to replace in my inventory? I guess the button. Yeah, okay. So this is A and B. Okay, so if you just have the left one on, then the piston extends, and the output doesn't turn on. If you just have the right one on, the repeater turns on, but the output doesn't turn on. If you have both on, then the piston extends, and the repeater powers the block, which causes the output to turn on.
Right. And you need the strong power, else it won't turn on.
Right.
That's why you put the diode in front of it, right?
Right.
Or the repeater, sorry.
So repeaters and pistons are a pretty common way to try and do interesting stuff with Redstone. There's... what else is there?
So what if you do this the other way around, where you put the repeater one ahead?
Yeah,
the piston.
That would also work, yep.
So I mean that that extended version leaves the block here.
Nope. What? Here,
then,
look at what I've done. Yep.
Oh yeah, of course that also works.
Yeah. I generally would prefer this one to the other way around, just because there's less delay when you're flicking on the lever. Just a 1 tick less delay on the output. Do you understand why? So let's say we're in this state. Now it takes 3 game ticks for the piston to extend, which is a tick and a half in redstone ticks, so it gets kind of confusing. But
it's faster
immediately this redstone will turn on after that piston extends. Whereas if we had the repeater on the other side, the piston would extend, and then it would take a tick for the repeater to pick up the signal.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so that's A and B. What next?
You could also let the piston retract, right?
What was that?
You could also make this one where the piston retracts, but you need a torch on the back of this block.
Sure. It would get a little bit harder because these signals would come too close to each other, and they might screw with each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that's why I did it this way. What are some other things we can do with pistons? There's a lot of circuits that I don't know off the top of my head that I would have to go look on the Minecraft wiki for. So unfortunately, I don't want to do that right now. With pistons.
You should do the other ones as well with pistons, or that's not very useful.
Well, I mean, ore is kind of whatever. Nor same, like, you could just do it with a torch. There are some very useful, like, XOR gates with pistons, but I just don't know them off the top of my head. I could probably try and invent them right now, or like reinvent them, because I kind of remember what they do. Alright, let's try. So I know there's a piston here. And
XOR is that it is either A or B, but not both at the same time, right?
That's
and
right,
not
yeah.
both turned off.
Okay, so it's something like this. This is XOR. I believe this should work. And we have, actually we need output here. So yeah, basically XOR means if one of them is on but not both, then the output's on. Yeah, it works. So
do we need 2 redstone wire here? We probably don't need this one,
we
right?
do. We do. Because here's why.
Oh yeah, also, if it retracts, it doesn't.
If it retracts and the right one's on, then here, let me... Yep. So this is an XOR gate. This is a lot more compact than you can do with redstone. You don't actually need this one right here.
I know, it just looks better.
Yeah, but it's a waste of redstone dust and space. And it'll cause more particles. I don't know, yeah, it's a small thing. But I tend to make my circuits as minimal as I can.
Yeah, but But this wire here is wrong. It points away from this one.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this block is strongly powered, so it's going to power any redstone that's next to it.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. So this is A XOR B with pistons. To do it without pistons, I might remember off the top of my head how to do this. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can remember off the top of my head how to do this. No. Okay, hold on. It's something like...
It has to be some sort of a crossed circuit.
Yeah. I think it's something like... this. Oh, whoops. And then... yeah, and this is not the most compact it could be. I think this does it. But I always have a hard time... A XOR B. Did I get it? So let's... yeah, there's the right one on.
Yeah,
off.
that's it.
Yep, okay. So this is A XOR B. It's a bit more complicated. There's like torches feeding into other torches. You can find designs for XOR on the Minecraft wiki though. And that's generally what I do when I need an XOR design. But A XOR B. Oops, XOR gate. Yeah, again, for those of you watching, the output's on when exactly one of the two inputs is on. So if they're both off or they're both on, the output's going to be off. Thank you. I should do that for this too. Alright. So that's XOR. Alright, let's get into piston stuff. And
stuff? What kind of stuff?
Oh man. So the usual T flip-flop I use is probably the most useful thing with pistons, but it's also pretty complicated as to how it works.
Well, we built a big one here with the monostable. This is sort of a T flip-flop.
Yeah. But the one I tend to use is much more compact, but it takes advantage of kind of the way that Redstone updates pistons. Well, let me talk about some of the things about Redstone updating pistons. So let's put levers on all of these guys, and one up here. All right. So any of these levers, whoops, any of these levers will cause the piston to extend. Piston power. Actually, you could put one underneath too. Put a lever down there. That'll work too. But there are more ways to power the piston, and this starts to get into stuff that some people consider bugs, but I know Mojang has said you guys aren't going to fix. All right.
Well, maybe.
Well, okay. For the time
eventually,
being.
maybe.
For the time being. Okay, if I put a lever on
re-implementation.
If I put a lever on this guy,
it doesn't connect, so it shouldn't work. Right?
It doesn't connect, and it doesn't appear to work, but
so
this is the very simplest form of a block update detector. If I flick the lever back off, it's not going to retract until I do that. So basically the idea here is I'm powering this block. This green block is powered right now, and the piston, when it does check to see if it should extend, it looks at the green block. But it just hasn't made any checks to see if it should extend yet. When you place a block next to the piston, it causes what's called a block update. And that makes the piston check if it should be extended.
So you can do it on any face touching the piston, so even in front of it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice bug.
Yeah, alright. Well, get to work.
Let's put a sign with that. don't block update in front of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't actually know it was that easy to make make that bug happen. But that's a cool. All right, well let's move on to the next spot anyway. But I can kind of demonstrate this block update detector thingy.
So does this have a nice name as well?
The glitchy piston? We call it
No, I mean,
glitchy piston.
no, I mean the just this concept that updates on a block update.
The concept is generally called the piston quasi-connectivity bug, or piston quasi-connectivity, you can call it.
Okay,
it's connected, but only sort of. That's why it's called quasi-connectivity.
So this only works when it's sort of above it?
It's either above and behind or 2 blocks above. Either of these will do it. So this piston is now receiving power from both above and behind, but it's not gonna realize it until it gets that block update.
I like breaking them. It looks funny.
Yeah. So when you place the piston, though, it also checks. So since it's receiving power, when I place it here, it'll do that. But again, if I turn off the power to both of these, it's not going to check.
So pulling works fine.
Yeah. So all right, I'm going to turn these on, and I'm going to leave it. And so don't place a block. Don't place. God, Grum. Okay, leave it.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So now I want to show you how to do this, the same thing, but have it automatically reset.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And I'm going to do sort of my favorite method of the block update detector. And this is a toggle block update detector. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we have a block here and a torch here. So now this block is strongly powering, or sorry, this redstone torch is strongly powering this block.
Right, which powers the wire.
The repeater, which powers this block above the piston, but it didn't cause an update, because if it did, this piston would have extended. So now, when I place a block next to it, it receives that it receives the update, and that causes the power to turn back off because the torch isn't powering it anymore. So now it shouldn't be extended anymore, but it is. Another block update causes it to toggle. This is why it's called a toggle block update detector.
Okay, so whenever you place a block near it, will change.
Yep. And if you place and remove it really fast, it'll only cause 1 update, just because it takes 2 ticks for the signal to actually get up here, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that interact with this, and you can look up other videos for how to do this. But for instance, redstone ore is one kind of cute thing. Redstone ore and furnaces. If I place the redstone ore, it'll cause a block update. But also walking on it. Yeah, there we go. Walking on the redstone ore causes it to turn into this blinky whatever, and that causes a block update. It's glowing, and when it stops glowing, it'll cause another block update.
Is that random time before it stops glowing again, or can you make a timer from this?
It's random. It's like the redstone torches.
Okay.
When it gets a random tick, it'll turn.
So
back
what
on.
Exactly of this is sort of like a bug that was never supposed to be fixed? Is that it is quasi-connected?
It's the quasi-connectivity, the thing we see over in this version over here. It's
but is it then that it doesn't?
I think in an ideal implementation of Redstone, probably, powering or depowering this lever would cause the piston to receive a block update.
Well, I can fix that. But...
Well, you can, but it'll also break a lot of cool things that people have done, and that's why I think Jeb has said that he didn't want to fix it. This thing is still glowing.
Yeah, I see.
There's other versions of the block update detector that will automatically reset itself so that you get a pulse. Let's see if I can build one right here. I almost always build the toggle block update detector. I think you can do something like this. And I'll explain how this works in a sec. Okay. This is the exact same thing, actually, except here we go. Oh, didn't work. No. Let's see. How do I do this? I'm trying to remember. Because I basically need to cause a block update on the piston. Didn't work. That's not gonna work. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be trying to invent things. In fact, like the original version that I posted, even maybe it's like this. Yeah, there we go. So then, if you want a pulse every time there's a block update next to this piston, you can...
Oh, that's actually useful.
Right. So basically, this repeater just serves to like cause an update just when it retracts, and that's just kind of how Redstone and the pistons interact. So this is a pulse block update detector, I would call it. This is also a very standard type of block update detector. There's plenty others.
It's a what? A pulse block update detector?
Yeah, I'll write it. Pulse.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of...
This looks pretty complex, though, by the way.
Well, it's good. We want some complex circuits for the regression suite.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, but on that, we should probably go to the other side and work our way back, because...
Sure. I mean, you know, when you're running the regression suite, you can just run along and just do everything.
Yeah.
In order, but...
Oh, that's true as well. Let's do that.
Let me put a red block here so that you know where you're supposed to... So you place it up against the red block. Or... Well, no, I'll put it right here. Or I'll just put redstone ore. Yeah. There we go. So that you know what you're supposed to do. Oops. Yep, so we got it. Yep. Alright. What's some other cool stuff we can do with redstone? So there's... I really want to get into the advanced stuff, because that's the stuff that I use a lot.
But by the way, if you do this, it will actually power below this block. It will power 2.
It would if there was a piece of redstone dust right beneath this block, then yes, it would power it. And in fact, this wouldn't be a block update detector anymore, because the redstone would cause updates on the block.
But a piston takes power from 2 blocks away, then, so you can basically power 2 pistons with one.
Yeah, from certain places 2 blocks away. Yeah, you can also do.
It's a feature.
Let me. Here's another place that you could power the thing, and it would cause the piston quasi-connectivity. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk about instant wire.
Okay.
Okay, instant wire is fun. Let me set up. Remember those repeaters that we were doing before with the pistons? They have some interesting properties. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to do another one right here. Goes right here. There we go. All right, let's put a lever at the beginning. All right, so when I power this, you know, the piston puts a block over the torch, which causes it to create a signal, and whatever. And there's output. I'll just put a third piston here. Okay, so watch all 3 of these pistons as I turn the power off. They all retract
all at the same time.
Exact same time. It's, when they're pushing, it takes some time for that signal to propagate, but when you pull it, they all pull at the exact same time. So this is the concept behind instant wire. The idea is when you turn off the signal, the piston retracts, and immediately this block is no longer above the torch, which immediately turns off this redstone line, and etc. So that all happens all in a single tick. Like, it doesn't take any amount of time. So this is like the basic concept behind instant wire.
Yeah, so the instant is when you are retracting the pistons, right?
Right. So it's only when you're depowering the pistons. So
but you can make a 2-way circuit from this. Just make a wire the same way back to get instant.
Right. Right, you could. So here's something. Here's a better way to organize it. And this is helpful when you have long chains of these. So I mean, when you're depowering it instant, when you're powering it though, it takes a while. So if you want to send multiple pulses along this line, more than a couple seconds, or closer together than a couple seconds, You can't really, because it takes some time for the signal to get all the way back there to extend, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you a version that fixes that. And it basically just involves putting this thing here, this torch here. Okay, so
you just block that, bug that piston on my screen.
What?
Yeah, it has a piston head and a piston.
Oh, it's not bugged out on mine.
Then it will fix itself in a second.
You could also probably reconnect if you need to.
Nah, that's fine.
Okay, let me do just one more of these. So I actually use this thing quite a lot in my own creations when I need a signal to get from one place to another really fast. Okay. So now, when I turn the power on, it's not going to do anything at all. All the pistons are already extended. When I turn the power off, they're all going to retract and then extend very quickly. Let me show you that again. You can kind of see that on my screen. It's only when I turn the power off from this lever, though. But what's going on is, when I turn the power on, I mean, nothing happens because, well, okay. Actually, let me do it when I turn the power off. When I turn the power off, the power to this block is lost, so the piston starts retracting. And that's going to cause the propagation of signal that we saw before with the other version of instant wire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then, since I turned the signal off, this torch is going to turn on. Right? And this torch actually will, you know, as we saw before, that's in a position where it can power the piston here. And that'll even cause a block update to that piston. So basically that causes what we see, where the piston loses power for one tick and then it gets the power back. So it just retracts for one tick and then starts extending again. And basically the same thing happens to all of these in a row. So you can do this, even if you have a chain of 1,000 of these, you can send signals as quickly as you want.
Right, so this is the same thing with the one-tick piston thing, so why doesn't it leave the block behind?
Because it's not, this is retracting and then extending, rather than extending and then retracting.
Ah, okay, yes.
So it's just not going to leave it behind. Yep. So this is, yep, Instant Wire V2. I first saw this on Tavi Rider's channel, for those of you wondering. Great Redstone
it's really
channel.
Cool.
Yeah. There's some other stuff that you can do with Redstone wire, but honestly, this right here is what I use most of the time when I need to do Redstone wire, instant wire stuff.
So this works for unlimited distances, right?
Unlimited distance, yep. You know, until you leave the loaded chunks.
Yeah.
But very, very useful concept. I've used this in, like, let's see, my Peggle game. I used this in Portal, the little Portal thing I made.
Okay.
Pretty useful stuff. It's actually a lot. Like, I've covered almost everything that I use on a regular basis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
we have quite a distance.
All of this combines, you can make pretty much most of the stuff that I make, just in terms of redstone circuitry, that is. I don't know,
so how many blocks did we actually... Oh, we're outside of the range of chunks. Stuff has to load here.
Oh, yeah. It's loading pretty slowly for me, too. Yep.
Oh, actually, we were at the origin, so I'm at X0 here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back out to the end, and we can see the coordinates.
Yeah, it must be something like 200 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than the block range, so...
Ooh.
Let's see, what are we at right now? We're at negative 200 right now. Keep going.
250-ish? Oh, over 250.
Yeah, almost 300. I should think for a moment about anything else that I do. I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more to Redstone. There's like, in fact, yeah. Why don't I go over some of the way that Redstone interacts with certain stuff? We can actually go ahead and do that on the other side. Let's go back to the origin again. Actually, TP at a 0.64.0. Oh, no, we're not in this version. Seth Bling 000. Okay. Oh. Ah. 0.0.
Yeah, you have to do it above.
Shoot.
I did the same.
I just died. I couldn't type it fast enough. Excuse me.
You could have just flown.
Yeah, that's true. Got lazy.
I did the same. I ended up under the world.
Yeah, let me just grab some supplies again.
Yeah, I'll grab a quick drink. I'm back in a sec.
All right. We'll take a quick break.